September 6, 2007. Brandeis University Tour. End of the day. Irene Pepperberg walked to Alex's cage, the same way she had walked to it every single evening for 30 years. She said goodnight. She told him it was time to go in. And Alex said the same thing he had said every night for as long as she could remember. You be good. I love you. See you tomorrow. The next morning she came in. Alex was dead. He was found alone in his cage. No warning. No illness. Just gone. At 31 years old, when African greys can live to 60. And those 4 words, you be good, I love you, see you tomorrow, were the last thing he ever said. For years, scientists have argued about what those words meant. Whether Alex knew what he was saying. Whether I love you meant anything at all coming from a parrot. Or whether it was just a sound that happened to be shaped like the most important thing one person can say to another. I've been sitting with that question for a long time. And I think the answer, the actual scientific answer, is more interesting than either side of that debate will admit. Here is what most people believe about parrots and I love you. Option 1. They mean it. They feel it. They're expressing genuine love, the same way you would. Option 2. They don't mean anything. It's just a sound they learned got a good reaction. There's no emotion behind it. It's performance, not feeling. Both of these answers, the romantic one and the dismissive one, miss what the research actually shows. Because the question isn't do they feel love, or is it just mimicry? The question is, what does I love you actually do for a parrot, and why do they say it when they do? And the answer to that question is one of the most quietly remarkable things I've found in 3 years of reading animal cognition research. You know the moment. Your parrot looks at you, really looks at you, and says it. Maybe it's morning. Maybe you've just come home. Maybe you were upset about something and they climbed close and said it, softly, almost like they knew. And you felt something. Not just warmth. Something that made you wonder, do they actually know what that means? And then maybe you felt a little embarrassed for wondering. Because you've been told it's just mimicry. Just conditioning. Just a sound they learned gets a reaction. But something in you didn't believe that explanation. Not completely. You were right not to. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what your parrot is doing when they say those words. The science is more personal than you'd expect, and more honest than most people are willing to be about it. Here's where the research actually starts. Irene Pepperberg, the researcher who spent 30 years with Alex, was asked directly about I love you in a 2025 interview with Live Science. And what she said was careful and specific and worth paying close attention to. She said Alex's use of phrases like I love you and I'm sorry were what she called contextually applicable. Not random. Not pure mimicry. Contextually applicable. Here's what that means. Alex didn't say I love you at random moments. He said it at specific moments. At the end of the day when Pepperberg was leaving. In situations that had a particular emotional texture to them. Departure. Reunion. Closeness. He associated the phrase with the context, not abstractly, but functionally. He knew what situation called for those words. He knew when they fit. And Pepperberg told NPR something about, I'm sorry that explains I love you better than anything else I've read. When Alex broke something or misbehaved and people got upset, he would say, I'm sorry in what she described as a pathetic little voice. There was no contrition, she said. But, and this is the important part, something in his brain made the connection. When things go wrong and people are upset, saying this phrase makes things better. He had mapped the phrase to its function. Not its abstract meaning. Its function. What it does in the world between two living things. Now, Here's the most important piece of research in this video. Aaron Colbert-White, a researcher who has published on Parrot social cognition, was asked directly, "What does I love you actually mean to a parrot?" She said, "What I love you means to a parrot isn't the abstract concept of love. What it means is, I have learned that when I say this, I get showered with attention. I get physical affection. I get to connect with my pair-bonded individual. I have learned that when I say this, I get to connect with my pair-bonded individual." Let that sit for a moment. Your parrot learned that those words, those specific words, produce closeness, warmth, physical presence, attention from the one being they have chosen to bond with above everyone else. They say it not because they understand the philosophy of love. They say it because those words are the mechanism that brings you closer to them. And I want to ask you something. Is that so different from why you say it? Here's where the research gets genuinely uncomfortable. In the best possible way. In the wild, parrots are pair-bonding animals. They choose a specific individual, one partner, and they stay with them. They preen each other. They fly in formation. They feed each other. They call each other by name using their contact calls. When a domestic parrot says "I love you" to you, they are not behaving like a pet performing a trick. They are behaving like a pair-bonded wild parrot, vocalizing to their chosen individual, maintaining contact, reinforcing the bond. The words are human. The behavior is ancient. Research published in the Journal of Comparative Psychology showed that home-raised African greys treat their human caregivers like a conspecific pairmate, not like an owner, not like a food source, like a partner. And when they use speech, including phrases like "I love you," one documented function is to replace the contact calls they would use in the wild with their chosen mate. They learned your language, and they are using it to do the thing they would do anyway, with a partner they chose. Now, I need to be honest with you about what the research doesn't show. We do not know whether parrots experience love as a subjective emotion, the way humans do. That question, animal consciousness and subjective emotional experience, is genuinely unsettled in cognitive science. Colbert-White acknowledged this herself. She said there are people who say "I love you" and don't understand it either. It just serves a function. And Pepperberg has always been careful to say that Alex's contextual use of phrases doesn't prove full semantic comprehension. It proves contextual association, functional understanding. That he knew what those words did, not necessarily everything they meant. But here is what I keep coming back to. Conditioning requires repetition, a consistent stimulus and a consistent reward. Alex said "I love you" most consistently in one specific context: departure. The end of the day. The moment Pepperberg left. What was the reward in that moment? She was leaving. There was no immediate attention. No food. No response. And yet he said it every time. That is not what conditioning looks like. That is what attachment looks like. Here is what I want you to take from all of this. When your parrot says "I love you," they are not running a script. They are not mindlessly repeating a sound because it once got a treat. They learned that those words, in specific moments, with specific people, produce closeness, connection, the presence of the one being they have chosen. They say it when you come home, because your arrival is what the phrase is mapped to. They say it when you're upset, because in their world, those words are what you say when closeness matters. They say it when you leave, because that is the moment the bond feels most present. The abstract concept of love may not translate perfectly across species, but the function of those words, what they are designed to do between two living things. Your parrot understands that completely. Let's go back to September 6, 27. Irene Pepperberg is at the door. 30 years of mornings and evenings and questions and answers. A routine so consistent that the words had worn smooth, like a path walked so many times, it becomes the ground itself. You be good. I love you. See you tomorrow. Was it love? The most honest thing she has ever said is this. She struggled to maintain professional distance. She found herself deeply bonded to Alex. She cared for him the way you care for someone who knows you. Scientists can argue about what the words meant inside his brain, about where the line is between meaning and mechanism. But here is what I think. He knew she was leaving. He knew what words belonged to that moment. He said them, in whatever way a walnut-sized brain holds 30 years of evenings, because those words were the shape of what he felt when she walked out the door. Maybe that's not love, the way you experience it, but it might be love the way he could. And she never got to say it back one more time. I want to know, when does your parrot say I love you? What moment? What context? What were you doing? Because I think the pattern in your answers is going to tell us something. Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. And here's the question I genuinely can't answer. If a parrot learns that saying I love you is the thing that connects them to the person they've chosen, is the word the point? Or is the choosing? See you in the next one.